Alrighty, what's up, y'all? I'm gonna try to make this quick because it's hot and I can't keep the face hole closed because I might pass out. Anywho, bike life. New rider tip, advice. I don't normally do this a lot just because I shy away from this type of stuff, and I think I might have broached this subject before on my channel because stuff repeats itself. I talk about stuff at the same time a lot, and all motorcycle riders do, because not a lot of things come up that are different unless you find one niche thing. You're like, oh, this is one thing I discovered that nobody talks about, and you're like, everybody talks about it, everybody says nobody talks about it. Anyway, new rider, you gotta relax, bruh, or girl, sis, whatever. Relax. You got to relax. And I'm not saying be aloof, I'm not saying be nonchalant, I'm not saying don't pay attention to what you're doing on the bike. I'm saying the literal definition is to relax. Tense muscles create tense inputs, and it absorbs tense outputs from the bike. You ever see somebody ride a motorcycle and driving? Very similar, especially if you're a new rider, a new driver. You always see people that are like, or an old lady with a stiff arm. You're like, damn, bitch, relax. If the airbag go off, you break your forearms, or you're so stiff you ain't gonna be able to turn. The same thing that happens with drivers happens with motorcyclists. You get tense, or you stay tense. Your inputs to the steering wheel or the handlebars are very jerky, very tight. You get fatigued earlier because your muscles and your hands are so tense. You're gonna get a hand workout whether you ride a bike tense or whether you ride a bike relaxed, because you're gonna be pushing and pulling the clutch lever in and pulling the brake level in hundreds of thousands of times during your career of riding a motorcycle. My hand's so strong on the pit, I'll pinch your nipples off the bone. You know what I mean? But look at this. I'm relaxed. It allows my bike to flow smoothly underneath me. Now, I had a car coming in the opposite lane. I had a curb coming up. I know these curves. I had visual input, and when you see something and you may sense a wee bit of danger, you tense up automatically anyway. And if you're already tense, you just get more tense, and it makes your controls for the motorcycle that much worse. That's why when people get target fixation or they are coming around the corner, I've seen plenty people slide out because they saw something and they just handful of front brake washes the bike out, and then they low side and they're injured and their bike's damaged because they were already potentially too tense for the situation, riding outside of their skill level, or a combination of both, and it just makes for bad juju, right? So when you are relaxed, it's kind of like you start your bike in first gear, and then you keep riding the first gear, the inputs are they're just jerky. I'm in fifth gear. I had to work to make that happen, because if I really just let my bike kind of flow downwards, it's relaxed. So if your body is, if you translate that correctly, always riding around in first gear, you're too wound up. You got to kick it up a notch or two. Make your body around fourth or fifth. You have enough room to respond, but you're not too herky-jerky on your controls, and you're not putting yourself or someone else in danger, and you're not creating sudden movements that could throw you off and then make you overreact, right? So my arm was super tight, and I saw that car coming around the corner, and I stiff-armed my controls. I pushed right to go right. I would have just fucking shot off into the damn grass or into the berm. Or if I pushed left to go left, or I pull right to go left, I would have shot off into that lane, because my body's natural reaction was augmented by the stiffness of my arm. I let my elbows kind of flow, relax. Now, mind you, I have to tell myself to do this on a regular basis, because sometimes I'll be riding and I feel my shoulders hiking up, especially when I'm cold, right? It's not because I'm nervous or anything. It's just because you get cold, you start to hike your shoulders up. I don't know why people do this. I guess heat comes up here, you make your shoulders your earmuffs. No clue. I know that I do it. And then sometimes I feel like there's a car coming. I thought I saw something. Maybe it was a putty tat. Sometimes I have to go, hey, relax, fool. Chill yourself out, because that makes for a bad ride. It makes for an uncomfortable ride, at least. And it makes for a stiff ride when you're trying to input into your controls and you don't want to get dead, right? I just rode over gravel. I saw that gravel coming because my vision is leading where I want to go. If my arms were stiff and my response was stiff, I would have, and then I would have washed out my back tire, would have lost traction, which I've done before by accident. When I first started riding many years ago, I froze up. I too much rear brake or front brake, I can't remember. And then I tried to throttle out, and then the bike just zing, and I fell over. Not a big deal. I scraped up my fairings, scraped up my pride. I was a little dusty because it was those chalk rocks that the Caterpillars, the forklifts and all that jazz rolls on. And I was like, I don't know what happened. I was a new rider. I was tense. I could not respond. I could not react. Gave it way too much throttle. And then my bike lost traction immediately because I didn't give my tires enough time to stick to the gravel and then accelerate forward. It just spun out like you would do if you're trying to get out of snow or get out of dirt or gravel, right? So, neck turns, head turns, all that stuff. Ooh, is that a bandit? Nope. All that stuff compounds over your ride. You got tight arms, you're absorbing the bumps. I'm in Michigan. It's one giant fucking bump. You're absorbing the bumps, your arms get tired, you're leaning forward. And I'm on a sport touring bike. The type of bike does help, right? If you're on a if you're stiff and armored on a sport bike, you're already leaned over, you're more crouched over than normal, tucked if you will. And then all those inputs are going in, your hands are going to get numb because you're pressing down on your handlebars. Your grip is tight on your handlebars. All those vibrations that your bar ends are set to neutralize or help neutralize are now translated up into your body, and eventually, you don't notice this, you'll be like, what is going on? My arms are stiff, I'm fatigued, I don't know why I'm so tired. It's because your muscles have been fighting your motorcycle this whole time. Me and my motorcycle don't fight. We real, you know what I mean? So when you're doing those things, it causes you to burn yourself out way earlier, and then you don't enjoy the ride. And then when you turn your head left and right, which I got off that subject 45 seconds ago, you eventually start getting stiff neck. You stop turning your head as far, which limits your vision, which gets you into the habit of not turning your neck as far. It compounds over time, just like everything else. Eventually you just become lazy. I have mirrors. I use my mirrors. I have blind spot mirrors on my mirrors. I use the blind spot mirrors on my mirrors, and I also turn my big ass dome just to make sure sometimes. Now I know I've been riding for a minute, there's nothing behind me, and I don't have to worry about it. However, keeping your mobility while riding your motor vehicle, especially a motorcycle, is very paramount to how comfortable you're going to be on the bike. If you ride with stiff arms, stiff neck, stiff eyeballs, you don't want to turn and look where you want to go, after a while the ride is just going to feel mundane. It's going to feel laborious. You hear them words? I read the dictionary. Big words for your ass. And it's just not going to be fun, right? You want to maintain the fun, maintain the safety, because a stiff rider is not a safe rider. You don't respond well. You take a bump too quickly, your foot slips, you hit the brake because your body's tense, and you get hit the giblets with one of these Michigan potholes, and you overreact because you didn't press the brake. Your body pressed the brake in reaction to the tension and the reverberations and the shock coming up from the ground through your forks, through your tank, through your seat, into your legs, and you're just like, I don't know what happened. It's because you couldn't dissipate. So, long video for a simple subject. However, I mean, I gotta yap about something. Relax.